So it's our last episode on the journey from Land's End to John O'Groats. I know it's not visible in the framing that I've chosen for this video, but I thought I would let you know up front that to honour the final stretch, I've chosen to wear my kilt. Arriving in Scotland in the summertime means that you're bound to find yourself amidst all manner of parties, cultural events and celebrations. My travels coincided with the annual Edinburgh Fringe Festival, a yearly celebration of arts, performance and music in the capital city of Scotland. I attended as many performances as I could afford, and naturally wasn't allowed to film many of them, but even without the crowds and merriment of Fringe, Edinburgh is a city to behold. Its iconic Gothic architecture and steep cobbled streets make for great exploring. But soon I continued onward to Scotland's other great city, Glasgow. Unlike Edinburgh, Glasgow is a truly massive cosmopolitan metro. It is the centre for much of Scotland's transport, commerce and media. BBC Scotland, if you're watching this and you like what you see. I even stumbled across a store that sells typical traditional African foodstuffs, giving just a small sense of how diverse this northern city actually is. It was at this point in my travels that I had a little bit of a panic attack, a small breakdown, because, I'll be honest, travelling on your own, day in and day out, it gets exhausting. And I'm not going to show you any of that footage. Puffy red eyes in a public bathroom is not for mass consumption. However, after a brief rest in a beautiful park and a sip of Scotland's favourite soda, Iron Brew, I was soon ready for more. The Kelvingrove Museum is a must-see for anyone visiting Glasgow, not just for its artworks, both classical and modern, or for its historical displays, but also for its amazing atmosphere. Every day, the halls of this museum reverberate with a live organ performance, forcing a feeling of awe and wonder deep into your bones as you explore the museum halls. Of course, despite its modernity, Glasgow has held onto its Scottishness, and as I continued my trip, I would see even more of the famed cultural pride of the Scots. I managed to attend a Highland Games in the town of Crieff, where traditional music and dance filled the air as big, burly men showed off their strength. Highland Games attract visitors from all over, and I wasn't at all surprised to find South Africa represented well before I arrived. Further north still, I came to Aberdeen, a port city which made its fortune from offshore oil and gas, but which has a certain charm about it. Aberdeen and its surrounding areas has, I found, a delightful array of weird and wonderful foods, such as the rowie, a croissant-like pastry, macaroni and cheese pies, and of course ice cream flavoured with the tangy sourness of iron brew soda. The biggest culinary contribution that the region has to offer, however, comes from just outside Aberdeen in the small town of Stonehaven.
All of a sudden, 24 years ago, a child walked in and had a bit of a dare with one of his friends and just said, what would happen if we deep fried this Mars bar? And the friar phoned the owner, who lived upstairs at the time, and just said, what will I do? And he said, yeah, why not? Let's try it. And then it was just, that was it. It just took off. And the gentleman that I bought it from, he really just became older, and I had another business that I had just sold, and I really was looking for something that was going to keep me still active within the town. And my husband had just always liked the thought of owning the chip shop. It's always been famous, it's always been a really interesting, good business, and you can only do that by working in it yourself. People that run businesses and have other people run them are not so successful. And so for my husband and I, whatever we own, we work and we operate. In the 20 years that I've been here, tourism has possibly doubled. The castle is now really world famous. It was never like that before. It was kind of something that was here and people came and seen it. And then all of a sudden, I think, Scotland Tourism, reacted on it really well, decided to promote it quite heavily. And so they just tie in, going to, see the castle, walk back down the hill. And I think once they've walked there and walked back, they probably think they deserve a wee sugary treat. And I feel as well that if people come to the shop and they spend £2 on a deep fried Mars bar, it's not what they've spent here, it's what they've spent in the other shops. So it's about what they spend throughout the whole community, and it's not just what they actually give back to me as trying to promote a deep fried Mars bar. So Mars bars are kept in the fridge, they're unwrapped, they're just really kept in here to keep them nice and chilled. We then run them under some water. Okay. They are then rolled into this rice flour, dipped into the batter. I'm going to put it into this pan because it'll be much easier for you, okay? And then just into the pan, dropped in. Timer, which gives me 2 minutes, 20 seconds. When you go down to England, lots of chip shops won't use flour at all. They'll just directly put their fish straight into the batter and then straight into the range. There's my buzzer. There's my buzzer. Voila. One deep fried Mars bar. Just literally just put it onto one of these C1 trays. And some people will walk away with it like that, but the majority of people will encourage them not to bite into it straight away. If you bite into that straight away, you've got to remember that's came out of a range that's sitting at 182 degrees. That's how hot that bar is. So now you can try it if you want.
I shall. Stonehaven and surrounds represents, I think, the quintessential idea of Scotland. exploring the open country and farmland was incredibly calming after all the big cities I had been to. But so close to my goal, I had to press on, northward evermore, making a quick stop at Inverness to see the famous loch. Having not spotted any monsters at Loch Ness, I took the train north to the final stop on the map, Thurso, a quaint town that seemed to be crawling with end-to-enders on the last leg of their respective journeys. I would take the bus the next morning to John O'Groats, meaning that all I had left to do in this little village was wait. Finally, after many trains, a few buses, and more amazing sights and people than I could ever mention, I made it. John O'Groats, all the way from the other end of the country, the northeasternmost point of mainland Scotland, which was founded as a ferry station to ship people to the nearby Orkney Islands by a Dutch settler named Jan de Groot. A simple pole, much like the one we saw at Land's End, marked the end of my journey. There was no fanfare, no excitement, just me, one of countless other travellers who had successfully made the pilgrimage across the United Kingdom. There wasn't really much else to do now that I'd arrived, other than dig into one last Scottish tradition. Overlooking the harbour, I ate a very tasty haggis, a form of tripe cooked in a sheep's stomach, while reflecting on the amazing journey I had just undertaken and all that I had learned along the way. Thank you for travelling with me. I hope that it will encourage you and anyone else who's thinking of travelling to the UK to explore a little bit more, to speak to the people and to do weird and wonderful things. There is so much more to the UK than London alone, and I for one cannot wait to see it all again.